The story begins in the unforgiving landscape of Finland, where snow blankets the earth as far as the eye can see. The world is eerily quiet, the biting cold hanging in the air, a constant reminder of the harsh environment Simon faces. Known as the White Death to the Russians, he stands motionless, perfectly camouflaged by the deep snow around him. His breath forms clouds in the air, yet he remains still, blending in with the winter wilderness like a ghost. The blinding snow, which would blind most, becomes his greatest ally. It obscures his position and allows him to move without being detected, making him a deadly presence in the midst of this cold battlefield. Simon has spent countless hours in these frozen conditions, and the cold does not bother him. In fact, it fuels his focus. His rifle, an extension of himself, rests in his hands, ready to strike at the first sign of movement. The terrain is familiar to him. He knows every snowdrift, every hill, every tree. It's as if the land itself is on his side, and he is ready to hunt his prey. Patience is his greatest strength in this desolate world of snow and death. Simon takes his position with the precision of a seasoned hunter. He knows that patience is his greatest weapon, and he settles into the snow with a calm that contrasts sharply with the chaos around him. His rifle, equipped with only iron sights, rests in his hands, a humble yet deadly tool. The battlefield around him is alive with the frantic sounds of combat, explosions in the distance and distant gunfire. But Simon is undisturbed. He's not in a hurry. In this moment, he is the predator, not the prey. Every movement is calculated, every breath measured. His breath condenses in the frigid air, forming small clouds that quickly dissipate, but he remains perfectly still, blending into the snowy terrain. The cold doesn't bother him. It sharpens his focus. His eyes scan the distance, searching for any sign of movement, any flicker of an enemy's position. The world around him moves in a blur of noise and violence. But Simon exists in a bubble of perfect calm. He knows that his moment will come. The Russian enemy sniper, unaware of his presence, continues to scan the landscape in search of targets. But Simon is already ahead, calm, patient, and waiting for the perfect shot. Simon's first kill is executed with the quiet efficiency of a master. The enemy soldier, unaware of his presence, moves into Simon's line of sight, his silhouette standing out against the stark white of the snow. Without hesitation, Simon squeezes the trigger. There's no rush, no excitement, just a calm, controlled action that results in a single deadly shot. The soldier drops instantly, the snow around him staining crimson as his body falls. The sound of his death is absent. Nothing but the silent, distant roar of battle and the cold, thick air. For Simon, there is no sense of triumph or satisfaction. His role as a sniper is not to celebrate, but to neutralize threats with precision. He remains perfectly still, eyes still scanning for any sign of movement, aware that another sniper might be watching him. The world around him continues to rage, but Simon stays in his position unwavering. There is no time for complacency. One kill does not guarantee safety, and Simon understands the danger of letting his guard down. His focus never wavers as he waits, ever watchful, knowing the fight is far from over and that his survival depends on maintaining his discipline and awareness. The quiet tension in the air thickens as Simon hears the subtle movements of the enemy sniper, the sound of shifting snow and the crunch of boots against the frozen ground. The Russian is trying to locate him, unaware of Simon's exact position. Simon knows the importance of patience. He doesn't panic, nor does he make a move. Instead, he focuses intently, listening for any sound, any telltale sign that might betray the enemy's position. Then he sees it. The faint glint of sunlight reflecting off the enemy sniper's scope. It's a minor mistake, a brief lapse in judgment, but it's enough. Simon's eyes lock onto the gleam, his target set. Without a second thought, he pulls the trigger, his aim true. The Russian sniper, who had been so focused on Simon, doesn't even have a chance to react before the bullet finds its mark. A single shot is all it takes to end the threat. Simon remains motionless, methodical in his execution, understanding that one error, one careless moment, could easily result in his own death. The cold air is heavy with silence, and the battle rages on around him, but Simon stays focused, ever aware of the risks. As the enemy realizes one of their own has fallen, the battlefield grows even more dangerous. The once calm landscape is now filled with the deafening roar of artillery as the Russians attempt to retaliate. But Simon remains unfazed, his presence almost non-existent among the snowy hills. He knows the value of patience, and he understands that his survival depends on remaining still, blending into the environment like a shadow in the white expanse. For hours, he remains motionless, allowing the barrage to rage above him. The artillery explosions shake the ground, and the air is thick with the sound of incoming rounds. Despite the chaos, Simon doesn't flinch, nor does he allow the fear or tension of the moment to affect him. His mind stays laser-focused on the battlefield, each detail of his surroundings etched in his memory. The enemy's frantic assault does little to distract him, for he knows that rushing will only expose him to danger. Every second spent waiting increases the stakes, but Simon doesn't waver. He knows the moment will come when he can strike again, and when it does, he'll be ready. For now, he remains still, patient, the perfect hunter in a field of chaos. As the deafening artillery fire fades and the snow fog settles into the air, Simon's instincts kick in. He knows this is his chance to move. The chaos and smoke have created the perfect cover, and he seizes the opportunity. His mind works quickly, calculating every step, ensuring he remains undetected. He avoids the obvious routes, knowing that any exposed movement would put him in the line of fire. Instead, Simon carefully makes his way along a ridge, moving in plain sight, yet hidden by the mist of smoke and swirling snowflakes. His movements are deliberate, measured, and efficient. Every step is calculated to keep him low and out of view, maintaining the element of surprise. He stays close to the terrain, using the contours of the land to his advantage. With his rifle slung over his shoulder, he moves like a shadow, always scanning the surrounding area for any sign of enemy movement. His eyes dart from one likely position to another, always on guard for the possibility of sharpshooters waiting for an opportunity to strike. But Simon is no novice. He's prepared for this. His survival hinges on this careful repositioning, and it's a skill he has mastered, moving with patience, precision, and the cold determination of a seasoned hunter. Frustration mounts in the enemy sniper as the minutes drag on without a successful strike. Unable to locate Simon, he resorts to the only option left, calling in artillery support. The sky darkens with the roar of incoming shells, each one carrying the potential to obliterate anything in its path. The battlefield becomes a cacophony of deafening explosions as the landscape around Simon is pulverized. Trees splinter into jagged fragments, and the ground trembles with the force of each impact. Yet, amid the chaos, Simon remains a figure of stillness, unmoved by the destructive barrage. His ironclad discipline shines through as he adapts to the turmoil surrounding him. The ground shakes violently with each explosion, yet Simon doesn't flinch. He's been trained for this moment, trained to withstand the psychological weight of the storm and remain calm under pressure. His mind is razor-sharp, focused only on the enemy's next move. While the landscape is torn asunder, Simon's camouflage, his ability to blend with the snow, becomes even more effective, providing him with an eerie advantage. The bombs fall, the snow plumes rise, but Simon stays concealed, proving why the enemy fears him. His patience and composure under fire make him the embodiment of White Death, a phantom sniper who strikes with deadly precision while remaining undetectable amidst destruction. The artillery barrage erupts, shaking the very earth beneath Simon's prone form. Explosions rip through the air, sending plumes of snow and debris flying in every direction. The sound is deafening. The earth trembles with each blast, and the surrounding forest is shredded by shrapnel. Yet Simon remains unmoved, his eyes fixed on the battlefield ahead, his body as still as a statue. The explosions may have torn apart the snow, but they haven't disturbed his focus. His training and discipline hold firm. He knows the barrage is nothing more than a tactic to flush him out, a test of nerves, and Simon's nerves are unbreakable. Every detonation feels like an eternity, yet Simon does not flinch. He listens intently, his sharp senses working to pick up any sign of movement. The moment he hears a rustle, a shift in the air, he will strike. Until then, his patience is his greatest weapon. He understands that panic could be his undoing, and he's learned long ago that in moments like this, waiting is not weakness, it's strength. As the artillery falls around him, he remains the calm in the chaos, knowing that timing and patience will decide who survives this deadly game. As the thunderous artillery fire finally ceases, Simon knows that the window of opportunity has arrived. The battlefield, once filled with the chaos of explosions, is now eerily quiet. His keen instincts tell him it's time to move, but he does so with caution, careful not to make any sound that might give away his position. His every movement is deliberate, calculated, as if each step is part of a carefully crafted plan. He stays low, using the terrain to his advantage, moving through the snow with a precision that only years of experience could hone. Simon doesn't rush. He knows the risks are high, and every action must be flawless. The terrain is still scattered with debris, and though the artillery has passed, the enemy might still be on the lookout, searching for the slightest sign of movement. Simon understands this. He's always one step ahead. His eyes scan the horizon, noting every possible spot where the enemy might be hiding. Every piece of the landscape is assessed for potential threats, and Simon is already thinking several steps ahead. His ability to blend into the environment, to move unnoticed even in plain sight, is why he survived this long. As darkness falls, the swirling snow begins to create an almost impenetrable veil over the battlefield. Simon, ever the master of patience and stealth, takes advantage of the cover the night provides. He moves quietly through the military crest, staying low to the ground, careful to avoid the open areas where his silhouette could be seen against the dark sky. Every step he takes is deliberate, ensuring that not a single trace of his presence is left behind. The cold seems to embrace him, but Simon is unbothered, his body in tune with the harsh conditions. His mind, laser-focused, keeps him on his calculated path. He heads toward a narrow valley, a natural hideaway that offers shelter from enemy eyes. The twisting valley walls provide protection, and Simon can feel the weight of his escape growing nearer. With each passing moment, he inches closer to safety. In the growing darkness, Simon becomes a shadow, a predator moving undetected through the white wilderness. The swirling snow cloaks him, and the night hides him from all prying eyes. He is a ghost, slipping past the danger and leaving no trace of his presence in the desolate landscape. With every movement, he is one step closer to slipping back behind friendly lines, his mission complete. After hours of careful movement, Simon finally makes his way back to friendly lines, still alert and cautious. Every step is measured, his senses sharp for any signs of enemy patrols. He knows the danger isn't over until he's safely within the camp. Despite the danger surrounding him, his heart rate remains steady, calm in the face of everything he has endured. The cold, the chaos, and the endless hours of waiting all fade into the background as his focus remains unwavering. As Simon arrives at the camp, he's greeted by his commanding officer with a nod, a subtle but genuine acknowledgement of his skill and survival. It's a simple gesture, but it carries with it the respect earned through the grim realities of the battlefield. Simon doesn't allow himself to feel pride. His response is as understated as ever, his face stoic as he reports the details of his kills. Humble in the face of his deadly performance, Simon knows there's no room for celebration. Survival and duty are paramount. He carries the weight of his actions without fanfare, knowing that his purpose is not to bask in glory but to continue his relentless hunt until the day this war ends and peace can return. As Simon sits down to eat, the warmth of the meal provides a rare comfort in the bitter cold of war. The silence around him contrasts with the chaos he left behind, but his mind is far from quiet. Every action from the day replays in his thoughts, each decision and shot analyzed with precision. Was there a faster way to eliminate the enemy? Could he have repositioned more efficiently? These questions are not born of self-doubt, but a relentless drive to improve. For Simon, there is no room for complacency in his work. Every small adjustment could mean the difference between life and death. The exhaustion of the day begins to creep in, but Simon doesn't allow it to distract him. He wonders fleetingly if this war will ever end, if there will come a day when he no longer needs to hunt or hide, a day when peace will replace the constant tension of battle. Yet, he pushes the thought aside. For now, his mission is clear: stop the invaders, protect his homeland, and ensure the safety of those behind him. The cost of war weighs heavily on his shoulders, but Simon remains resolute, his focus sharpened by necessity. The snowstorm rolls in, blanketing the battlefield in a shroud of white. To most, the biting cold and swirling winds are an unbearable enemy, but to Simon, they are allies. The storm is a gift, nature's perfect camouflage for the deadliest sniper on the front. Every flake of snow that settles on his body only enhances his invisibility, making him a phantom in the frozen wilderness. The cold numbs others, slows them down, but for Simon, it sharpens his senses. He embraces it, letting it seep into his bones, knowing it's a part of his identity as the White Death. Lying motionless amidst the storm, he becomes indistinguishable from the snowdrifts. The enemy's soldiers, shivering and disoriented, peer into the whiteness but see nothing. Simon's stillness is absolute, his breathing controlled to avoid even the smallest plume of steam escaping into the frigid air. He is not just a man but a force, an unseen predator who strikes without warning. The storm muffles sound, but Simon listens intently, waiting for the faintest hint of movement. He knows the fear he instills in his enemies, the stories they whisper about the invisible killer. The snowstorm is his domain, and in its cover, he is unstoppable. Simon lies in his snowy perch, his rifle an extension of his body, unaware that history is quietly being written with every pull of the trigger. Each kill is a necessity, a grim reminder of the brutal reality of war. Simon doesn't think of numbers or records. He thinks of survival, of protecting his homeland, of ensuring his comrades see another day. The title of Best Sniper means little to him in the moment. It's not recognition he seeks, but results, the successful execution of his duty. As the days turn into weeks, his reputation grows among both friend and foe. Stories of the White Death spread, a chilling legend of a sniper who cannot be seen, cannot be stopped. But Simon feels the weight of each life he takes. To him, this isn't glory, it's necessity. The growing body count is not a badge of honor, but a grim tally of what must be done to defend his country. Simon's focus remains steadfast. He refines his skills, adapts to every challenge, and treats each mission as though it's his last. He doesn't dwell on the title or the numbers. His only concern is the task at hand. For Simon, being the best is not a goal. It's a consequence of doing what's required. In the frozen wilderness of Finland, a legend is quietly taking shape. Simo Häyhä, known as the White Death, continues his solitary mission, each day blending seamlessly into the snow and ice. The enemy grows more wary with every encounter, their fear whispered through the ranks. Stories of an unseen sniper, deadly and untouchable, ripple across the battlefield. But Simon doesn't concern himself with the rumors or the mounting body count. His focus is singular: defend his homeland and ensure its survival. With each shot, Simon's legacy deepens, though he doesn't seek recognition. His name will soon be etched into history, tied to an unmatched record of confirmed kills and a level of skill that few will ever rival. But in this moment, there's no celebration, no thought of the future. For Simon, the fight isn't about becoming a legend. It's about necessity, about duty. The snow falls heavier now, and Simon adjusts his position, ever the hunter, This is his element, his battlefield, his calling. Though history will remember him as the White Death, for Simon, it's just another day in a war that feels endless. What lies ahead doesn't matter. For now, he remains focused, his legacy quietly building with every pull of the trigger. This is only the beginning. The war stretches on, an unyielding tide of chaos and bloodshed. For Simo Häyhä, it is a constant cycle of waiting, hunting, and surviving. Each day brings new challenges, but he remains steadfast. A ghost in the snow, an elusive figure feared by his enemies. The Russians continue their relentless assault, but Simon always stays one step ahead, using his unmatched skill and intimate knowledge of the terrain to outwit and outlast them. His rifle is an extension of himself, each shot a calculated decision, devoid of emotion. Simon knows the weight of what he does, but he carries it with quiet resolve. His mission is clear: defend his homeland at all costs. The endless hunt, however, takes its toll. While his physical strength endures, his soul begins to bear the burden of so much death. Yet, Simon doesn't falter. The title of history's greatest sniper, already earned through his unparalleled skill, means little to him. For Simon, there is no glory in war, only the necessity to fight for his people. As the snow falls heavily once more, he continues his journey, knowing the road ahead is long and fraught with danger. The White Death presses forward, his legacy unshakable, his mission unending. Simo Häyhä, known to history as the White Death, embodies the perfect union of man and environment. His title is more than just a nickname. It is a reflection of his essence on the battlefield. Against the unforgiving, snow-covered landscape, Simon becomes invisible, his every move calculated and deliberate. The blinding whiteness of the snow doesn't hinder him. It empowers him, serving as both his shield and his ally. He uses the terrain as an extension of himself, turning the brutal cold into an advantage that his enemies cannot overcome. His precision as a sniper is matched only by his discipline and patience. Simon strikes with a lethal efficiency, his actions silent and swift. Each shot is deliberate, each kill a testament to his unmatched skill. For the enemy, he is a ghost, unseen until it is too late, a harbinger of death that strikes fear into their hearts. Yet, Simon is not driven by hatred or bloodlust. He fights with a quiet determination, motivated by duty and the defense of his homeland. The White Death is not just a legend but a symbol, of resilience, of mastery, and of the relentless human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds.